Evident from its peculiar illustrations, the Voynich Manuscript seems to document unconventional bathing techniques, potentially archaic forms of showers. It then goes back to plant images, but this time it's different. The focus shifts to the details of roots and herbs, combined with illustrations of weirdly colored cylindrical containers. These objects bear a striking resemblance to alchemic lab equipment, even though alchemy typically concerned itself with precious metals rather than botanicals. The containers may actually belong to an apothecary's toolkit, aligning with the manuscript's recurring themes of health and medicine. As the Voynich Manuscript draws to a close, it presents us with its most puzzling section yet, a series of densely packed, undecipherable text. The margins are decorated with what look like star-shaped bullet points, each adjacent to capitalized letters, giving rise to the theory that this section might be a collection of recipes. But this interpretation, while tempting, remains speculative at best. We are left wondering whether the manuscript's final words could hold the key to understanding something even more profound. While the bright and interesting pictures give us some clues, the real understanding seems to lie in the mysterious writing on its page, a code that even the best experts haven't been able to crack. Is there any way in which we can understand what's been written? Turning our attention away from the visuals to the manuscript's writing, the first thing that stands out is its unique alphabet. It includes some Latin letters and numbers, along with oddly shaped characters. The alphabet appears to consist of 22 distinct characters, although occasional unique symbols can also be found. The Voynich Manuscript's text is written in short words, ranging from 2 to 10 letters, and separated by spaces. This text layout is consistent with many European languages, reading from left to right. This leads many to speculate that we're looking at a cipher, a system of substituting letters to mask the original language. Ciphers are commonly used to secure sensitive information, like in the case of the Copial cipher, which mixes Latin and Greek letters along with unique symbols. This particular cipher was used in a book detailing initiation rituals believed to belong to the secret society of the oculists. So, what's the method of deciphering this mysterious text? Decoding a cipher often involves understanding the characteristics of the original language. Languages have unique fingerprints. Some prefer longer words, while others have a specific ratio of consonants to vowels. These traits remain identifiable even when the language is obscured through symbolic substitutions. For example, the Copial cipher eventually yielded to description efforts once the original language was identified. With the Voynich Manuscript, however, unlocking the secret of the text remains an ongoing challenge. The difficulty in deciphering the Voynich Manuscript largely comes from its lack of recognizable linguistic fingerprints. While there is an apparent structure to the text, including repeating patterns and word distributions similar to known languages, the original language, or languages, remain elusive. This patterned uniformity suggests that the text isn't simply random nonsense, but is based on an organized system. Complicating matters is the presence of 2 distinct languages within the manuscript identified as Language A and Language B. These languages appear to correspond to different sections, most notably the bathing and star sections, and potentially different authors. This duality makes the manuscript an even more sophisticated cipher to crack, as not just 1, but 2 languages are at play. However, there are analytical approaches to uncovering the underlying language. One of these methods involves examining word frequency and distribution. In English, for example, the word "the" makes up approximately 7% of all spoken words. Interestingly, the second most common word, "of," is used about half as frequently. This pattern tends to be consistent across various languages, and both languages in the Voynich Manuscript also adhere to this rule. The frequency of the second most common word in each language is roughly half of that of the most common word, indicating that the text likely functions as a real language. Thus, the Voynich Manuscript isn't just a chaotic string of symbols, it shows signs of linguistic structure. but the task of decrypting it is made exponentially harder by the coexistence of two distinct languages. While several individuals have claimed to have decoded or even translated the Voynich Manuscript, such claims often prove to be speculative or inconclusive upon scrutiny. A number of theories have been proposed, ranging from it being an elaborate hoax to a lost language, or even a code so sophisticated that it requires a yet-to-be-discovered method to crack. So, the Voynich Manuscript presents a paradox. It displays traits of a functional language, but its mechanical spelling patterns and subject-specific keywords defy easy categorization or decryption. It is, in essence, a cipher wrapped in a riddle, shrouded in an enigma, and its code, whatever it may be, continues to elude definitive deciphering. Now, if there is no way to be understood, why was it even written? The suggestion that the Voynich Manuscript might be written in a Romance language provides a point of entry into the labyrinthine mystery that the manuscript presents. The appearance of month names in Occitan, a cousin to French, adds a layer of plausibility to this theory. However, as you've rightly pointed out, attempts to definitively prove these theories have largely been unsuccessful. The idea that the manuscript could represent a lost or forgotten language, like the Rongo-Rongo glyphs of Easter Island, is intriguing. However, such a claim introduces its own set of complications. In the case of Europe, most languages have been well documented, thanks to extensive historical records. There are language isolates like Basque, but they've been studied and are correctly spoken. A Voynician language isolate would likely have left other traces, archaeological, historical, or anthropological, that we simply haven't found. The idea that the Voynich Manuscript might be a hoax has always lingered in discussions about its origins. The flawlessness of the manuscript, devoid of any corrections or errors, is indeed peculiar. Most handwritten texts from the medieval period contain mistakes, given that they were copied laboriously by hand. The manuscript's overly mechanical language patterns and the absence of errors could be interpreted as signs of deliberate obfuscation rather than genuine linguistic patterns. Yet, dismissing it as a mere hoax poses its own challenges. Creating a manuscript of this complexity and length would have been an enormous undertaking, especially when considering the sophistication of the illustrations. The effort required to generate a text so consistent in its complexity and so confounding in its cryptography seems almost disproportionate for a mere prank or deception. And if it is a hoax, it's an extraordinarily elaborate one that has stumped some of the best minds for centuries. Until a sort of Rosetta Stone for the Voynich Manuscript is discovered, or some other breakthrough occurs, this enigmatic document remains a cipher in the truest sense of the word, a puzzle that tantalizes with glimpses of order and meaning, yet resists all attempts at definitive interpretation. Constructed languages, or conlangs, have their own consistent rules, alphabets, and vocabularies, which could explain the text's seeming regularities and peculiarities. Indeed, constructed languages can be as functional as natural languages, given that they adhere to internal rules and structures. Esperanto and Tolkien's languages like Quenya are excellent examples of how invented languages can develop communities of speakers and become real in a functional sense. If the Voynich Manuscript is indeed written in a constructed language, it raises intriguing questions. For what purpose was this language constructed? Religious or mystical texts often employ coded language to obscure their meaning, reserving understanding for the initiated or the enlightened. Alternatively, it might have been an academic exercise, an early foray into linguistic theory, or even a tool for confidential communication. If the latter is true, it has certainly proven effective, as the text has resisted all attempts at decryption to date. One of the drawbacks of the constructed language theory is that, while it might explain the text's regularities and the absence of errors, the creator knew his or her invented rules flawlessly, it does not explain the manuscript's intricate and scientifically plausible illustrations. If the purpose was solely linguistic experimentation, why include detailed botanical, astrological, and anatomical drawings? Another point to consider is that even constructed languages usually bear some resemblance to natural languages. They often draw on existing grammatical structures, phonemes, or lexicons. Yet the Voynich manuscript defies categorization, adding another layer to the enigma. Many constructed languages were created with the aspiration of becoming the world's first universal language. Often, these were initiated by scholars and intellectuals who hoped to make their work universally comprehensible, overcoming the barriers posed by different native tongues. It's conceivable that the Voynich manuscript was an endeavor in this direction. Given the scientific nature of the book's content, it might have employed an experimental language aimed at reaching a broader readership. If that were the case, its purpose would be opposite to that of a cipher, which is intended to obscure information. Unfortunately, if this theory holds, the language's rules may have been lost to history, rendering it unreadable. However, no theory can claim complete plausibility, and each comes with its own set of challenges. Although constructed languages often display originality, they are almost always influenced by one or more existing languages. For instance, Esperanto amalgamates elements from various European languages, while Tolkien's Quenya draws inspiration from Finnish. If the Voynich manuscript were written in a constructed language, one would expect it to exhibit traces of an existing language or languages. Moreover, given that the manuscript seems to contain 2 languages, it would likely draw from 2 existing languages as templates. And then there's the glaring question, why not use Latin? It was, after all, the academic lingua franca of the medieval period. So far, the manuscript's mysterious language remains a riddle without a solution. It's an enigma that continues to defy decryption, and it may well remain that way indefinitely. The Voynich manuscript remains one of history's most enigmatic puzzles. As we delve deeper into the digital age, it stubbornly resists decryption, reminding us that not all secrets yield to modern scrutiny. What is it hiding within its complex illustrations and undeciphered text? Is it a lost language, an arcane scientific text, or perhaps a hoax that has fooled scholars for centuries? In a world where answers are often a click away, the Voynich manuscript stands as a monument to the enduring power of mystery. Will unlocking its secrets make it less attractive, or will it open a doorway to even more profound questions?